Yo! Ubisoft actually did it. The Mad Lads listened to the criticism and decided, you know what? We kind of need a hit. We need to kind of pull out of this tailspin. So if we can go ahead and forestall our ultimate failure a little bit longer, if you can give us a couple extra months. Hey, look at guys, we're listening. We're listening to the criticism. We're going to bring it back into the shop. We're going to work on it. Okay, we're going to fix it up a little bit. We're going to try to make something palatable. Right? You believe us now? You believe us now? We put out another cringy statement, but we know why they did this. Because you look at the stock right now, and yeah, Ubisoft down another 16%. They're under $10 a share. Brother, remember when it was so bad, when it was in the 11s? They wish they were in the 11s right now. Oh yeah, it's going to be staying down there for a hot minute because everything that they've done. We'll talk about the second half of this equation tomorrow, but as of right now, we got to focus on the delay. Not 1 month, not 2 months, but 3-month delay of Shadows. Like, what do they think they're going to do? Like, we see how close this thing is to release. I think that they were probably just a couple of weeks away from going gold, honestly. Like, we've seen the gameplay trailers. We've seen, basically, all of the reused animations. That thing was ready to go. Hell, the press kits were supposed to go out this weekend over TGS. Like, they were supposed to have their hands on. All of the previews were supposed to be out there. We don't know when the embargo was going to be lifted, but if we know anything based on what, the Star Wars Outlaws was, it could be like a day before the game releases to the public. But I also think that does play into them delaying this because, let's be honest, man, some of it probably makes sense because they realize that, yeah, man, we can't keep doing this. Okay, Skull and Bones was a disaster, a quadruple A experience that you guys will love to play for a long time. Just be comfortable not owning any of your games anymore. It's just everybody was looking around going to Ubisoft. It's like, yeah, we'll be comfortable not owning your games because we're not going to play your games anymore because you're a trash service. Why? Because you've continued to release hack games. Like the last time the Assassin's Creed franchise got into a big tiff, got to a part where they had to stop with their annual releases, was when Unity first came out. Remember Assassin's Creed Unity? Assassin's Creed set in revolutionary France. Oh my god. And I'm not saying that just because it was a fun setting to pay attention to. It was just, you remember all of those, the lack of face models that were on there, and the assassin at the time falling through the map and glitching every which way, but except for on the places where he's supposed to be. This is another one of those situations because Outlaws is clearly not finished. Like, that's a glitchy disaster. It's written like ass, but like the game, it barely functions. You can roll credits on it, but it's going to be a trepidatious experience in order to get there. So there could be a little earnest reflection on this by going, you know what, we can't release it in this state. It's still glitchy. The QA has come back and decided, guys, it's real tough to get through this. And we think, you know what, we need to hit our benchmarks. We need to get out there. We need to sell a few million copies. We can, the Assassin's Creed franchise, whenever we release an entry, it always sells millions of copies. So we still have name recognition on this. So who cares about all the backlash? I could have thought that, but then they also seen just the months and months of critique that this game has got, because there's some people that are out there that would love a fantastic samurai game. Hell, there's quite a few prominent ones that are popping up right now because it's a cool setting, man. Who doesn't want to be a ninja? Who doesn't want to be a samurai? That's cool as hell. I don't care what your background is. Putting on the sweet armor like that, swinging around a sword, doling out justice, that'd be great as hell. It's just nobody wants to play a historical ripoff of Nobunaga's nobility and also his quest for butt sex. Nobody cares about that. Nobody wants to see that. You want more Jin Kasais out there and fewer Atsus, but more on that next. But Ubisoft announced, ahead of its upcoming investors' call, that it has delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to February of 2025. In a document updating its financial targets for fiscal year 24-25, Ubisoft announced Assassin's Creed Shadows will now be released the 14th of on Valentine's Day. How wonderful. You too can find big gay love in feudal Japan. I'm not just making that up, right? Like, that was one of the big touted features that Ubisoft was running with when you were not being called bigots, when they were saying that, there's so many interesting things that we can do over here, like having same-sex relationships with your black samurai. The company explained, while the game is feature complete. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, they could have released it, but then they realized that the learnings, from the Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title title. There it is. There it is. This will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure with Naoi and Yasuke, bringing two very different gameplay styles. Which, yeah, if you have such a big and ambitious game like that, take your time, okay? People want to like this game. It's just you've given them every reason not to. We've also been able to take a look at your track record as a studio, Ubisoft. We've been able to see previous entries in the Assassin's Creed franchise and go, you know what? You're going to have to earn back our trust this time around. We're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you're not worthy of the benefit of the doubt. You have to win back the audience, which is a very tough thing to do. A customer spurned is much more vocal and much more difficult to recapture than certainly and simply creating a new customer. And with a franchise this long running, basically everybody has an opinion on it. And as somebody who used to buy all the collector's editions, like from all the way back with the original, I don't know if I got the collectors for original Assassin's Creed, but definitely with 2, what was it, Brotherhood and then Revelations, or Revelations then Brotherhood, regardless, and then 3 and Black Flag, then that's where I fell off. But I got all of them. I got the big $100, and hell, I gotta dig those out here, you know, because I make reference of them every once in a while, but I got all the big deluxe hardcover strategy guides from Brady Games back in the cut. Was it Brady, or was it the other service? Regardless, but yeah. Every time an Assassin's Creed would come out, I would spend $150. Was that the total cost of everything? Because it was like $30, $35 for the hardcover game guide. I think EB Games. If you bought the game guide and you bought a copy of the game, you'd give a discount or something like that. But regardless, I did that for Assassin's Creed. I think The Last of Us, definitely. Like, I think that one's actually easy to pull out here. And it's actually propping up some stuff that I have just, you know, just off a little bit, just off screen. I could theoretically show you if I picked up the camera or whatever, but I've got it's called the Survival Edition of The Last of Us. You can check it out if you like. But yeah, I spent a lot of money on games over the years, okay? I ain't no tourist. Spoiler for another video that's coming out here in the next couple of days. This one right here, oh, it's going to connect a bunch of different dots that's coming out in very short order. So for somebody that watches all the videos, hey man, you're going to be rewarded. But yeah, man, I was out there with a lot of other people that used to play the Assassin's Creed games that definitely wanted a cool ninja feudal Japan Assassin's game. And when it finally got announced, hey, it was piquing my interest when we heard about Assassin's Creed Red. It's like, oh my God, it's finally going to be in Japan. And then we got hit with hip hop tracks and a black guy just cutting down Asians. It's like, what is this? Security cam footage from San Francisco? Like, I'm not all that interested, bro. And then when Ubisoft started to run hilarious cover for the game, we knew that it was only a matter of time that, yeah, this game's gonna come out. It's going to flop. Ubisoft is going to have to do some mental gymnastics. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I put this out there. And I'm sure a lot of other people have talked about it as well. So I'm not trying to claim credit for it or anything like that. But Ubisoft, it's probably going to get bought up in 2025. Like, let's keep it a buck. Even still, with this game coming out in early February, what is it, a couple weeks ahead of Monster Hunter Wilds? Which still, I've got some reservations on. But in general, like when it comes to gameplay, looks fun as hell. This looks like a bungled mess that's, I don't know, man. Maybe this delay is going to do some good. Maybe if they come out with some good promotional material, maybe if they try to gaslight people time and time again with statements like this, it could reverse their fortune. But let's take a look here. Okay, so this is just the follow-up. Yeah, following our recent announcement, we understand there are many questions on how pre-orders will be impacted. Well, it's kind of like those, make an old man reference here, but it's just kind of like those people that pre-ordered Duke Nukem Forever back in, what, the early 2000s? And then finally got that payoff like a decade later. This isn't going to be as egregious, but I would imagine that, you know, all of those guarantees are still going to be out there, which, yeah, especially the collector's edition, rest assured, we are working with retailers and digital stores, and more updates will come soon. Thank you for understanding. Well, yeah, of course. Like, you bought it expecting it was going to be released November 12th. I think that was the tentative release date. Can't quite remember. But regardless, doesn't matter anymore. It's February 14th moving forward. So here's the statement. Looks like it's on the same backing that they had for the Japanese apology, where they said, well, we don't strive for, like, you know, one-to-one historical accuracy or anything like that, but at the same time, we're trying to make a historically accurate game. Like, did anybody proofread this? But let's see this time around. Dear players, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour or the renewed stealth brought by new technology. What? No, we've seen the animations, and oh, maybe this is why you're delaying this for a little while, because you're trying to say that it's renewed stealth, new parkour with new technology, but it's old animatics. Anyways, all set in a beautiful and immersive world. This is an ambitious addition to the franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists. But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience, pushing further some of our key features, such as, as such, we've made the decision to postpone the release to February 14th, 2025. The game will release on a broad range of platforms, all of them, including Steam. At launch. Does that also play into the weak pre-sales? Was nobody buying this crap? Were all of those reports true that, nobody actually cares about this game and now you're just trying to give a bigger lead time so maybe potentially people will check this out? That's interesting too. And yeah, more on that with the Outlaws video tomorrow. The fact that, Ubisoft is coming crawling back to Steam. Additionally, pre-orders will be refunded and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free. Oh my God, you get free DLC out of this? Oh my God, it's nothing like that old trick where, hey, if you pre-order a game, you get some of the cut content. Actually, it should be out there. Or an old Capcom trick where it's like, we got big plans for the DLC that's definitely not on the disc and you can't just access if you just pay us some money. Don't worry about any of that stuff. It's fine. We understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who have been waiting patiently for an Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan, but we sincerely believe that this is in the best interest of the game and ultimately your experience as a player. Rest assured, we are looking forward to the moment you will embark on a memorable adventure with Naoi and Yasuke. Yeah, it'll be interesting because we've heard some people say, it's like, are they going to reverse course and take Yasuke out the game? It's like, no, man, they're doubling down on that. I will guarantee this. It'll be a little bit more polished, but it's still just going to be as insufferably pandery because this is the death spiral that Ubisoft is in, if we're being completely honest. Okay, until then, we thank you for your ongoing support. Oh, yes, Mark Alexis Cote, the executive producer, said that we strive for historical accuracy, but yeah, you want a memorable adventure with your ahistorical protagonists, which is why financial analysts describe Ubisoft's sales collapse and delaying of Assassin's Creed Shadows as a total meltdown as the stock price collapses. Because Ubisoft, because you've seen how many people work at Ubisoft, 4,000 people. It's a big bloated AAA studio that has produced the dud after dud after dud with all of those woke white women that staff all of those halls. This is what happens, man, when you industrialize art, when you take the creatives out of creative spaces and you just put the aimless, idiotic busybodies that just went to school because they don't really have a life path, that they just accrued a bunch of student debt, picked up a bunch of awful political positions, made that their entire personality, and decided, I don't really know what to do with my life, so I'll just get a bachelor's of art, and worst case scenario, I just end up working as a Starbucks barista. But thanks to all of these incentive programs to get more women in gaming, there's more women in gaming, and there's very little gaming that's going on, and there's a lot of sitting down, discussing your emotions over pie, or it's relationship mechanics and action RPGs. What the hell are we doing? AAA gaming, it's not in a great space. There are some outliers that are out there. Don't get it twisted. There are some studios that are still doing some good stuff. But in general, there's more Ubisofts out there than Square Enix's. More on that over the weekend as well. I don't know, man, but we're going to be paying attention very closely to the marketing, the new updated marketing that came in, or that is going to be coming in during the gap between the game's first initial release date and its new February release date. If there seems to be a course correction, if it looks like it's turned out to be a pretty decent game, well, I'll definitely be watching it then. Am I inclined to buy this? Hell no. Hell no. This is going to have to be a spectacular experience in order for me to give a fraction of a care to potentially buy it somewhere down the line if it's for sale or not. But they're really hamstrung because we've seen the people that work at Ubisoft. We've seen the people that they hire to consult on these types of projects. They are ideological to the very core. The brain rot is in full decay. And you've seen what happened when Lucasfilm canceled The Acolyte, the backlash that is out there. Can Ubisoft weather that storm? I don't think that they're in any position to do that, because I would argue, as bad as Ubisoft is, Star Wars, Lucasfilm is in a much worse state. But they can go ahead and financially weather that storm, and they can turn that around because they have legacy fans from years gone by that if they finally tell true Star Wars stories, all of those spurned fans will come crawling right back. I'll guarantee that there's still a subsection of that base. But in regards to Ubisoft, there's a lot of alternatives that are out there, and gamers are far more likely to engage in the indie space as opposed to just simply stick to the AAA marketing machine. So yeah, man, I think this is, it's ultimately a good thing for the game. I think the game's going to come out in a much better state. They can work on, that day one patch and actually include it in the base game itself, so there aren't going to be as many funky glitches. I think it's still not going to save the project, and it's ultimately not going to save the company. This is just simply forestalling the end, but it's a good move. And it's a move that shows that, you know what, all of those pesky busybodies, the tourists of the industry that just wanted to laugh at the dumpster fire that was Assassin's Creed Shadows, still is to some extent. Yeah, we actually have a voice, and our concerns are being heard by the studio and the studios in general, much to the chagrin of the activists that created the industry that so desperately needs healing. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.